Back with us once again is health policy analyst and Pulitzer Prize-winning science journalist Laurie Garrett. Laurie, thanks again. Is there somebody who is in charge of coronavirus response for the whole U.S. government, the way that President Obama put somebody in charge of the Ebola response?
No. Although he has said Secretary Azar, Secretary of Health and Human Services, is the go-to guy.
But does it seem like he's actually playing a coordinating czar-type role the way that Ron Klein did?
You can't instantly walk in and do that. I mean, it took years for the Obama administration to create this superstructure, which has now been eliminated. Keep in mind, it's not just that we don't have a czar in the White House overseeing the response, but we don't have that contingent inside the National Security Council. We don't have the seasoned veteran contingent inside of Department of Homeland Security. And we don't have this whole global health mastermind group inside of the Defense Department and HHS. These were all eliminated in 2018 by Trump.
When the president eliminated those global health security teams and all of those agencies in 2018, was there a reason? I mean, was there an argument against them? Was there ever a plan to replace them?
They were Obama programs.
Has there ever been an effort to replace that capacity in the U.S. government?
Well, there certainly was an effort from the bottom up. I mean, everybody engaged in public health was saying, yeah. And the other thing that's been eliminated and is a huge loss is the training at grassroots levels for hospital workers. So one of the things that we can see, we trace the path of this horrible epidemic, is that COVID-19 really exploits the interaction between the health provider and the patient when the infection of the patient is not clearly known and the health provider does not have protective gear on. So, I mean, the big hero in China, Li Wenliang, 34 years old, died of this virus. He was the one that blew the whistle and told the world that it was being covered up in Wuhan. He was an ophthalmologist. Now, how many ophthalmologists watching this would give a second thought to wearing protective gear when looking at somebody's eyes?
Especially if they don't seem to be symptomatic.
Right. And similarly, you can go down the list of so many aspects of the healthcare system where on a normal day in a normal patient flow, you would never wear a mask, you would never wear protective gear. You might put on gloves for some procedures, but for the most part, it'd be very lackadaisical. The next time you go to the hospital or a clinic, look at how the secretaries are protected or not protected. Look at the staff and the nursing. Are they wearing protective gear? No. And we don't have enough protective gear stockpiled or available in inventory to supply all those personnel in the United States right now. Today, Rachel, in Geneva, they held a press briefing that went on and on and on, almost an hour and a half long. And it featured leaders of this team that had gone into China to investigate what's the status of the situation right now. And they said in no uncertain terms, everybody should do what China did. Well, now, can you imagine? We're going to shut down 100 million Americans. We're going to shut every business in America. We're going to have guys on the highways pulling over truckers with their guns on their gun racks and saying, get over to the side now. We're going to do a temperature check on you. And if you have a fever, you have to abandon your truck right here and its cargo, and we're taking you off to a quarantine center. No ifs, ands, or buts. By the way, no human rights, no civil rights, because this is an epidemic. Ain't going to happen in the USA.